אני רוצה לברך אתם עם רשלן של רב יהושע, אוריה יהושע, או שבבזרגה יכול לתת לנו הרווחה שלנו נוכל להבין התורתך, חוקים ומשפטים. I would like to bless you and your family and to call your attention for the reading of the Torah. We're going to continue with the reading of the Torah and the item 68. We're speaking about the sacrifice a lot. This item number 68, if the congregation sins ignorantly, a sin offering must be brought, or the sacrifice of one congregation that committed had sin. We're going to read, and I call you to follow with me. And Vaikra, Leviticus, Vaikra, chapter 4, verse 13 to 21. It's a long verse, but let's meditate in each word that is going to be read. And if the entire congregation of Israel strays by mistake, and the matter has been hidden from the eyes of the assembly, and they have done against any of the commands of Yahweh, which are not to be done, and shall be guilty. When the sin which they have sinned becomes null, then the assembly shall bring a young bull for the sin, and bring it before the tent of meeting. And the elders of the congregation shall lay their hands on the head of the bull before Yahweh, and the bull shall be slaughtered before Yahweh. And the anointed priest shall bring some of the bull's blood to the tent of meeting, and the priest shall dip his finger in the blood and sprinkle it 7 times before Yahweh in front of the veil, and put some of the blood on the horns of the altar, which is before Yahweh, which is in the tent of meeting, and pour all the blood at the base of the altar of burnt offering, which is at the door of the tent of meeting. Then he takes all the fat from it, and shall burn it on the altar. And he shall do with the bull as he did with the bull as a sin offering. So shall he do it, and the priest shall make atonement for them, and it shall be forgiven them. And he shall bring the bull outside the camp, and burn it as he burned the first bull. It is a sin offering for the assembly. Well, here it speaks about the one congregation that committed sin against the Eternal One. The procedures that has been done, and the elders, the assembly shall bring a young bull for the sin, and before the tent of meeting, the altar that stays in front of the temple, okay, and the anointed priest, okay, that was in guard of his service, or religious service, and shall bring some of the bull's blood. The elders of the congregation shall lay their hands on the head of the bull before Yahweh, and the bull shall be slaughtered before Yahweh. These procedures. And afterwards, the anointed priest brought the bull's blood to the tent of meeting. And the priest shall dip his finger in the blood and sprinkle it 7 times before Yahweh in front of the veil. And he put some of the blood on the horns of the altar, which is before Yahweh, which is in the tent of meeting, and pour all the blood as the base of the altar of burnt offering, which is at the door of the tent of meeting. Okay, this altar gets outside, and where they made the sacrifice, and they broke the dam, okay, for the tent of meeting. Then he takes all the fat from each, and shall burn each on the altar. And he shall do with the bull as he did with the bull as sin offering. So shall he do it. And the priest shall make atonement for them, and it shall be forgiven them. The priest make the atonement for this, first for his, and afterwards for the congregation that sinned against Yahweh. And he shall bring the bull outside the camp and burn it as he burned the first bull. It's a sin offering for the assembly. Then it was the procedures of the sin of the assembly, okay, made by the priest anointed in that time. We're going to see this item in the oral law in the times of Job, times of Abraham, times of Yaakov, Yosef. This item number 68. Job 145. Job 145. Job 145. Job 145. Job 145. Job 145. And his sons went and had a feast in the house of each on his day, and sent and invited their 3 sisters to eat and to drink with them. And it came to be, when the days of feasting had gone round, that Job would send and set them apart, and he would rise early in the morning and offer burnt offerings, the numbers of them all. For Job said, it might be that my sons have sinned and cursed Elohim in their heart. This Job always did. Then we can see here the testimony of one man that was completely just because he followed the mitzvot of the Eternal One. And his son, his family, were his congregation, his assembly. And when your sons, okay, feasted among them, or perhaps drank, or perhaps spoke evil words, and tamid, okay, always Job did the sacrifice for dance. Okay, in that day, when there was no temple, there was no alphabet, the law was oral. Yah Spirit spoke in the eyes of the man in that day. Okay, let's see this item 68. If the congregation sins ignorantly, a sin offering must be brought. We're going to see the time of Yahushua and his disciples. Hebrews 9, 12, 15. Hebrew 9, chapter 9, verses 12 to 15. 12 to 15. Entered into the most set aparted place, once for all, not with the blood of goats and calves, but with his own blood, having obtained everlasting redemption. For if the blood of bulls and goats and the ashes of a heifer, sprinkling the defiled, sets apart for the cleansing of the flesh, how much more shall the blood of the Messiah, who through the everlasting Spirit offered himself unblemished to Elohim, cleanse your conscience from dead works to serve the living Elohim. And because of this, he is the mediator of a renewed covenant, so that death having taken place for redemption of the transgression under the first covenant, those who are called might receive the promise of the everlasting inheritance. Well, we can see here that because the destruction of the temple, okay, ceased the sacrifice, like prophesied Daniel, okay, then the Mashiach or Messiah, Yahushua, came with the redemption for us. He shafar his dam for us, because it was written that in Shaul chapter 59, that the Eternal look at the earth and who didn't see any Kohen capable to make this sacrifice, and then he envied. Then he sent his hands and he brought the Yahshua salvation. Okay, well, let's go to item number 69. 69. If a person sins ignorantly, a sin offering must be brought when he learns of his sin. Vaikra 4, 27-35. Vaikra 4, 27-35. And if any being of the people of the land sins by mistake, by doing against any of the commands of Yahweh, which are not to be done, and shall be guilty, or if his sins which he has sinned shall be made known to him, then he shall bring as his offering the female goat, a perfect one, for his sin, which he has sinned. And he shall lay his hands on the head of the sin offering, and slaughter the sin offering at the place of the burnt offering. And the priest shall take some of its blood with his finger, and shall put it on the horns of the altar of burnt offering, and pour all the blood as the base of the altar. Then remove all its fat, as fat is removed from the slaughtering of the peace offering, and the priest shall burn it on the altar for a sweet fragrance to Yahweh. And the priest shall make atonement for him, and it shall be forgiven him. And if he brings a lamb as his sin offering, he brings a female, a perfect one. And he shall lay his hand on the head of the sin offering, and slaughter it as sin offering at the place where they slaughter the burnt offering. And the priest shall take some of the blood of the sin offering with his finger, and shall put it on the horns of the altar of burnt offering, and pour all the blood at the base of the altar. Then he removes all its fat, and the fat of the lamb is removed from the slaughtering of the peace offering. And the priest shall burn it on the altar, according to the offerings made by fire to Yahweh. So the priest shall make atonement for his sins that he has sinned, and it shall be forgiven him. Well, the law continues forever. Then if one man sins against the Eternal One in that time, and his sins were known, he presented to the Kohen, the priest, with a lamb, female or non-female, and the female lamb. And the Kohen, and this man slaughtered the sin offering, and the Kohen made the same procedures, brought the blood to the altar, the tent of meeting. Okay. Well, but this sin of this man was because he broke the commandments of the Torah. Like Shaul says in Romans 9, chapter 9, chapter 10, chapter 11, because the transgression of the law is sin. Is sin. This commandment that we are reading. Okay. Well, then we can see that this man presented to the Kohen with the sacrifice, burnt offering, and the sacrifice made the kapara for him, and his sin was forgiven. Now it's the same thing. The law didn't change. The law is forever. The Eternal One took the true testimony, the land, the earth, and the Shammai, the heavens, that the Torah, the law, the mitzvot were forever. Then, now, if you sinned against the Eternal One, we go and you ask forgiveness of your sins. You can offer one offering, a coin, to make the remembrance, and to ask forgiveness. O Kohen Yahushua ben Yosef, made my Keporah lifnei de Ruayah, the Father Spirit. And that man that is seated upon the throne to the right of Yah Spirit that fills in the earth and the heavens. Then the core, eternal core, he made the Keporah for us in this day. The law didn't change. The law is forever. The Torah is forever. Because that Yahushua in the Tefillah, in the prayer of Father, our Father. And he says, be made your will here on earth like in the heavens. Okay. Well, let's see this item 69 in the oral law. The same that it's Job chapter 1 verse 5, that he made the sacrifice for his sons. In the time of Yahushua, Hebrew 9, chapter 9, verse 19 to 24. It's the last one. We're finishing our meditation in Torah here. Hebrew 9, chapter 9. 19. For when according to Torah every command had been spoken by Moshe to all the people, he took the blood of calves and goats with water and scarlet wool and hyssop and sprinkled both the book itself and all the people, saying, this is the blood of the covenant which Elohim commanded you. And in the same way he sprinkled with blood both the tent and all the vessels of the service. And according to the Torah, almost all is cleansed with blood, and without shedding of blood there is no forgiveness. It was necessary then that the corpse of the heavenly ones should be cleansed with this, but the heavenly ones themselves with better slaughter offerings than these. For Messiah has not entered into a set aparted place made by hand, figures of the true, but into the heaven itself, now to appear in the presence of Elohim on our behalf. Not that he should offer himself often, as the high priest enters into the set aparted place year by year with blood, nor his own. Then Yahushua made the Keporah for us, like it's written in the Torah. Yahweh bless you and your family. Thank you very much for your attention. And Yahweh bless you and your family as well. Toda rabah al sin lev lecha, toda rabah le Yahweh mipnei ha-Torah ramitzvotecha shelcha. Yahweh baruch ata v'ramishpaha gam. Ze ratefila shel zaken Assaf Benami Crispin me Brasil. Shalom e aad rayon ramishi. Im odipam im rakra shel Torah. Toda rabah, shalom lehitraot.